Good afternoon, Matt Carter. Welcome to Yellow Shelf.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Your podcast touched out. Let's first start off by acknowledging you've had a pretty epic couple of weeks with this podcast, which I'm going to leave you to share on. But congratulations. This is a podcast about mental health, parenting, carers, supporting podcast that really helps parents and carers. Over to you, Matt. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, so Touched Out is the 2024 Parenting Podcast of the Year. I was absolutely honored to receive the award in a room full of hundreds and hundreds of industry professionals and network executives. And I'm just, this regular 37-year-old dad of three from country Victoria that started my podcast less than 2 years ago. So it's been an absolute whirlwind, absolute
Well
blast. I
done.
still can't believe it.
And it is, I mean, it just shows the world of podcasting, Matt. You can be the country father of three from Victoria, podcasting, and wow, look what can manifest, look what can happen. Well done. It's a credit. The podcast. Tell us all about it. Tell us, I guess, even what inspired you to create it. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, certainly. So 2.5 years ago, I was hit with a pretty shocking diagnosis of ADHD and autism at the age of 35. It threw me for an absolute six. I was left questioning who I was and how do I unmask and where do I go from here and what my life could have been like if I had all of the supports that I needed as a youngster. Um, and I went search. I love podcasts for gaining knowledge and gaining information and learning because it's genuine. It's not someone talking at you, it's someone talking with you, even though you're just listening. And I couldn't find anything that was specifically for parents on the spectrum. I could only find podcasts for parents that are parenting kids that are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it bummed me out. I was like, well, I mean, I can read all of the documents and I can read all of the, you know, professors' reports and all of this and that, and that's not how I learn. So I was sitting with my wife one day, and I said I'm going to make a podcast, and we kind of joked around about it because I say I'm going to do a lot of things, but ADHD, I'm on to the next project like 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
But I followed through. I had a little mixing board and a microphone and headphones that a friend of mine bought me during COVID, so I could record some songs to keep myself busy. Excuse me. And I had a friend who I already knew had a great story, so I got her on for my first guest, and the rest is history. So it's not specifically for parents on the spectrum. Now I kind of thought that was a little too niche, so I kind of widened it, broadened it, and made it a mental health podcast for parents. And yeah, in less than 2 years, it's turned into an absolutely beautiful community. We talk about all of the really, really nitty gritty stuff, and it's a really safe and inclusive space. And I'm just so honored that, my guests were brave enough and trusted me in sharing their stories. And it's turned into what it is today. I was just a regular old dad in his kid's toy room recording recording conversations that I wanted to have. I
Yeah.
almost felt like it was selfish in a way because these podcast episodes were what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I'd go back, I still listen to the episodes,
Yes.
and it's not even for me. Like I,
Yeah.
I listen to their stories, and I have to kind of step back and be like, oh wow, that's me that's talking to them, and they're sharing these things with me. So I'm super grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, congrats, because you're 34 episodes, 35 episodes in.
Yeah, 35. Yep.
Congrats. Yeah. Because that's no mean feat, is it? And now that you've got this, national award, it just all that hard work is well done.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
Matt, tell us, I'm curious a bit about you, before you kind of did the podcast and before you tapped into that world. What do we need to know about Matt?
Well, I'm as I said, 37. I'm married. I've been married for, geez, what is it? 5 years. 5 years this year. So going on 6 years. We've been together 8 years.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I've got three kids. I've got a 5-year-old Hendrix, a 4-year-old Roman, and a 2-year-old Salem.
Oh,
And they are my absolute world. Obviously, I wouldn't have the podcast without
yeah.
having them. Every one of them, yeah, they're all super supportive. But I'm a mental health support worker in my everyday life, which is something that came about from the podcasts. That's only something that happened this year, had a career change. I was in youth justice
Yes.
before that for 6 years and finance and call centers before that for
Yeah.
most of my adult life. So massive change, massive shift. Basically dedicated my life now just to helping other people, both in the podcast and professionally.
Ah, brilliant. And Matt, can we touch on because I know that you have two books in the works. Tell
Mhm.
us about those because I know people that will be listening who are in the podcasting publishing industry and people will be watching who are curious about your podcast, but you've got these two books that aren't published.
Mhm.
Tell us what we need to know about those and how they relate.
Yeah, yeah, I'm more than happy to. So the first one is a book that my wife and I wrote during COVID lockdown called Girls Can Wear Pants Too. We were watching TV one night and it was all these advertisements that were just so targeted at boys and girls. And we were talking about how we're sick of seeing society just have to label people and have to put them in these tidy boxes. And we're like, it doesn't work that way. All that does is bring shame. So we started writing this book, and what happened was, yeah, girls can wear pants too. It's a very, very inclusive book. It's been illustrated by an amazing neurodivergent author and illustrator. She's a best-selling author illustrator as well in her own right. It's Nell Harris.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's very inclusive. We've got a diverse range of characters, different cultures, people with disabilities, people on the spectrum, all of it. We really wanted to make sure that it was as inclusive as possible. And it's, yeah, just a cute little rhyming book about how, girls can play in the mud and then be a princess or dress up as an ape and be a rock star and
Yeah.
play with trucks, play hockey, play this, play that, do whatever they want, be whatever they want. And we really just wanted to highlight to the world that just be yourself and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Don't let them shame you into the boxes that they feel like need to be there.
Yeah.
That's the first one. That, yeah, as I said, that's illustrated, ready to go.
Yep.
So I'm trying my hardest to get that
Yep.
published. So if anyone's super interested in that, please reach out.
Yeah, that's right.
And the second one is a book called Baby Boy, It's Good to Cry. So that one, it really hits quite close to me personally, as a lot of other people, probably in my age range, can attest to. We grew up very much with father figures or male role models that were like, rub some dirt in it, don't cry, don't
Yeah.
ever show your emotions. So Baby Boy, It's Good to Cry is a book that tells all the little boys out there that emotions don't have a gender. Emotions a universal language. Own them. Cry if you need to cry, and it's good. It's good to cry, baby boy. It's good to cry.
Yeah. And both these books complement the work you do in the podcast, don't they? It's all aligned. It's all the message that, we really need to get out there. So it is my hope that someone watching and someone listening gets curious, Matt, and reaches out.
I would love that. Yeah, dream come true.
And if they need, they can reach out to me or they can reach out to you. We can find ways to connect. Matt, tell us, that's how we're going to wrap today.
Mhm.
I'll put this in the show notes. How do we connect with you? How do we where do we find you? What's the best way on socials?
Yeah, I'm actually off socials at the moment because it was
Good.
really detrimental to my mental health. I was dropping the
Yay.
ball with family life. I'd had a
Yeah.
couple of viral TikToks and I was focusing a bit too
Okay.
much on my little screen, so
Yep.
gave it all up. I'm still on YouTube, but mainly LinkedIn. You can get
Awesome.
me. It's Matt Carter, or you can visit my website, www.touchedout.com, or you can email me at touchedoutpodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll put up LinkedIn and I'll put up the website just to make it easy. There are ways to connect with us. If anyone wants to get in contact with you about the books, Matt, or someone can contact me. Thank you so much, Matt. It is my hope that you keep podcasting, you look after your health, and these books get out there. So then I can interview you next year.
Oh, I would love that. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Would you come back? Would you come back and share them with me?
Oh, in an instant, mate. In an instant. Yeah.
Matt, thanks for joining us. All the best.
Thank you to you too.
Cheers.